You're listening to Paris: A State of Mind on Paris Underground Radio. For more great content, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/Paris Underground Radio.
Welcome to Paris: A State of Mind. Join us as we talk about the good, the bad, the ins, the outs of property rentals and purchases in and around Paris. We'll have topics for renters, owners, and visitors, share questions we are regularly asked, and more. My name is Gail Boisclair of Perfectly Paris, and my co-host is Marie Pistinier of Lokim Paris. Be a part of it. Both of us are proud members of the SPLM, the first representative body of furnished rental professionals. Hello, Marie. Welcome to the Paris: A State of Mind studio.
Hello, Gail. How are you doing?
Apparently, maybe I had too much caffeine because that sounded too exciting, didn't it?
Yeah, no, that's good. It sounds like you are very happy, so we can record another podcast. That's great.
I'm always happy. I'm very rarely cranky.
Good.
But I am sometimes. Well, I think that we keep going back on things that we should probably have maybe mentioned and we didn't mention. So I think another good topic would be to discuss like sustainable or eco-friendly apartments. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. Like apartments or any other properties. And sustainability is a kind of big buzzword that we have everywhere today, especially with the heat or the cold that are planned on the weather forecast. We cannot miss the climate change topic.
I know. It really is important. And I think that we all need to pay attention to worldwide, not only, in our own home, in our own area, but worldwide. We have to be serious about it for the future. And I think we talked a little bit sort of about sustainability, energy efficiency, and things like that in our diagnostics episodes, didn't we, Marie?
Yes, exactly. And the diagnostics are really one of the base that you can have when you talk about sustainability, even though it was not especially meant to be about that. But this is really the diagnostic that shows especially the energetic performance, that show you how your property is, if it's very much, how do you say in English? Like in French, we say énergivore.
Like a carnivore?
Yeah.
It eats energy?
Exactly. Heat waste energy. So this DP diagnostic is very important in France, and we have new deadlines that are coming up, and some properties cannot be even, they will not be able to be rented out on January 2023, by the way. And it's for any properties, those probably who are doing like a long stay, medium stay, and even vacation rentals. It seems that it's also like everyone is in the same basket, which is a good thing. When you start to work on your energy consumption, then you can definitely go deeper into the sustainable world.
Definitely. And you're right, it is touching everywhere, because I've even seen on a lot of different websites for apartment rentals, short and long term, but also as well for holiday lets, vacation rentals, where you can filter options to include places that are eco-friendly or sustainable.
Yes, it's really like a trend which started like a long time ago, but it's more and more common in different, what we call it's OTAs, but different kind of platforms. And so, of course, you rank higher if your property is under a more eco-friendly atmosphere than if there's nothing done on that. It's really a major topic in order to rent your place. As we have many things to say about that, but one of the things, if we can go a little deeper on that, it's sometimes it's a bit hard to figure out how you can apply all this for our homes, and sometimes the question is, where do I start with?
Oh, totally. For me, I find it overwhelming when you want to try to do something and then you think, well, where's the first step? What do I do? Do I just, completely gut my house and start from square one? But I mean, for me, everything is just like baby steps, small steps. We have an expression in English: how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's it. Like little by little, we just have to do the best that we can to make changes.
Yeah, it's really an elephant that we have to take care of right now. I think that people should go back to the diagnostic because we share a lot of information about the renovation and what people can do when it comes from the biggest step to do when you have a very low rank on your energy performance. But then some of the little things are which can be done. It's also, for example, the light bulbs. It's something that in our property that we can easily change to LED bulbs, for example, and that's a good thing. I know that also there is some people who are doing like the light which turn on and off depending on when you are here.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's like and so it's a good way, especially when you have kids, in order to make sure that the room you do not have the room with their light on when the kids are not around, and also the adults. We have this funny expression in French, which is we say like it's not Versailles. Like it's not the castle of Versailles where you have all the lights on and everything. So this is one of the things that we do have to take care of.
Well, even the Eiffel Tower has become sustainable because the flashing of the lights, the last time they have the flashing of the lights is at 11 p.m. now.
Yeah, so they are gaining some hours of energy. So it's one of the little steps for the Iron Lady.
Yeah, exactly. and they did actually switch all the bulbs in the Eiffel Tower to LED as well, too. But I mean, oh, by the way, people should know, you mentioned, and I mentioned our diagnostics episode. For those people that are wondering, if you want to go back, well, you can, of course, re-listen to all of our episodes, but particularly diagnostics, we did in episode 26 and 27, just in case.
So maybe you can share a bit about how do we recycle, because the podcast is Paris State of Mind, even though a lot of our episode and, for example, the diagnostic are for everywhere in France. What about recycling, especially in Paris, for example?
It's super important. So being Canadian, I grew up with recycling all the time. So I am the recycle police. I will dig out of my garbage. If people put things in the wrong things in my garbage, I am a garbage digger to put things in the right recycle bin. But recycling is an obvious choice to be eco-friendly and sustainable. But it's complicated because even in a city like Paris, you don't have the same necessarily the same recycling possibilities in every area. Some places some buildings offer glass bottle recycles, some don't. I think maybe even a couple of buildings that don't do recycling at all. So I think that if people are not really sure, the Mairie has a good website and you can find out where public recycling spots are to bring things if your building doesn't recycle. But basically, the green bin, which actually is changing to be the gray bin. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I mean, just to make it confusing.
Yeah, of course.
Because green is, forget it. I guess green is trashy and now it's going gray is trashy. But the green/future gray bin is everything that's supposed to be not recyclable. But if you want to be cautious, the white top bins are for any glass bottles, and then the yellow bins for anything that is considered recyclable. And that has expanded and changes on a fairly regular basis in Paris. Right now, they say that they recycle all food packaging.
Yeah, that's very good news, because like that, you don't think about, okay, what do I do? Do I put it or not? Does it have to be? No, now every package goes directly to the recycling bin. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. And even Nespresso pods, they say that they recycle as well too. Please note, I am adding "they say" in quotes because I'm hoping that it just doesn't end up in a landfill and on some island somewhere. But there's plenty of options for recycling, and there's never an excuse really not to recycle. And I find that my regular garbage, for example, maybe I take regular garbage out once a week. But my recycling, I probably bring that down easily 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah, meaning like we have so much cartons, plastic and papers on top of our grocery that we still need to we have that many things to recycle. It's for me, it's the same. We have like so much paper and carton and plastic to throw away. So what about composting?
Oh, yeah. Composting is really good too. Except if you don't like worms. I don't really like worms. I'm sorry. I'm a bit of a freakazoid for creepy crawly things. But my building, I live in a large building and there's 2 or 3 other buildings that are part of my complex, and they have a huge, ginormous composting center. It's so big that the Mary of the 18th has actually come and given tours to people that want to set up composting in our building based on what we're doing.
Wow.
That's how big our composting is.
Yeah, but is it with warm, or because sometimes you have like a kind of dry thing and it's
worms. Oh, it's worms. They're worms.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta put it in. When you put it in, you gotta like turn the thing around, and then there's worms, and it's like, ugh.
Okay, don't too much information. I think that people are going to be disgusted.
Yeah, but it's okay. You usually don't have to do that if you have a composting thing, because normally you've got a place to dump it in and you don't have to deal with it. My building actually just looked at volunteers to help with the composting, so we can compost without having to do the wormy turny stuff.
Okay, cool.
Thank God.
That's good. And I think that I heard, but it's the same. We have to check for the date that at a certain point we will all have a place, because you're right. Sometimes in the building there is not enough room, so they cannot put all the bins because the bins are huge. My building, for example, they have a very, very big place to store. So we have several paper bins plus several for the glasses. Same for the green gray bin. So far, we don't have anything for composting, but actually they could. And but I think that they are supposed to move on that. I know that in Paris, a lot of people have their own little thing to compost, but then it should be, it's something
more
that
widespread.
it's supposed to be. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the advantage that we have is my complex is L-shaped and there's a huge green space outside. We actually have also in my complex, we have a community garden where people can grow their own plants and vegetables. Cool. We also have bees on our roof. We make honey in our building.
Perfect.
Yeah. And it's only for the residents. So, and all the funds collected from the honey sales go back into the association for the residents. But that's why we have a good space for composting, because we have an outdoor space where we can do it.
Okay. Yes. It's not for everyone. Okay. One of the things that we didn't mention, going away from composting and worms a bit, it's unplugging all the electronic devices that are on standby and that we don't use all the time. And especially when you are an owner or an agency who rent out a place, it's one of the things that you should give to your the information you should give to your tenant. If it's a vacation rental, so like people staying for a very short stay, usually, even though that we know that with the energy crisis, things may change a bit, but usually electricity is included in the weekly or in the nightly price. But you don't want your guests to leave the windows open while the heaters are on. So it's not only doing that for yourself, but also to share the information to your guests or tenants in order to make sure that they are not doing anything too stupid with the energy, I would say. It's very important to remind them that when you book on a long-term stay, usually electricity is under their name, so that they are much more responsible for what the consumption that they are going to do.
It is kind of frustrating if, for example, imagine there's an issue at an apartment or something, and then you have to go in, and you walk in and every light is on.
It's Versailles.
Yeah, it's Versailles. No, that's crazy. And I'm sure that makes a huge, huge difference at the end of the day if you reduce that consumption. And also like double glazed windows. I mean, not all of my owners have double glazed windows, but most of them do. And that's great. But on top of all of that, I mean, that saves on a loss of energy. But on top of all of that, instead of just having light blinds for your window coverings or none at all, it's really good to have heavy curtains, because heavy curtains will keep most of the heat in the cool months, and it'll also allow the cool air to stay inside in the warm months. And if your curtains are made of recyclable heavy cotton, that's even better.
Yeah, this is a little cherry on the cake, right?
Yeah.
If you are enjoying this episode of Paris State of Mind, you may also be interested in our sister podcast, The Heart of You. Join Annette as she helps you explore your soul through intuition, spirituality, and more. Paris State of Mind will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
And now back to Paris, a state of mind.
In the same kind of direction, you have to check every gaps that you can have on your place and where the heat and the cool air is away. So it's like sometimes around some old building, it's not only you have a very double glazed window, like very it's so insulated that sometimes it's a bit too much. But you do have to check because sometimes around the windows there is still some space where the hair is going away.
You mean the air?
Yeah, the hair. The hair on the hair.
Mind the gap. Well, and then also it's even like when you change your appliances, because now it's so easy to know, at least in France, whether an appliance is energy efficient or not. They all have the readings on it. Anytime you buy appliances, you can see its energy rating. And also, I recently had to, several months ago, had to replace my my dryer, my clothes dryer, and rather than just chuck it in the garbage, because it could probably be repaired, but it was quite old, and I already had it repaired one other time. So rather than chuck it in the garbage, there's a company in France called Murphy, not like the name Murphy's Law, MURPHY. It's MURF like France, Y. And you can call them. They'll pick up your old appliance for free. If you want, they will try to repair it. So they kind of offer services like Darty will do. Or they'll just pick it up. If it's repairable, they will repair it and then they will resell it.
Yeah, they have some, they reconditioned some of their, the appliances. It's only for appliances. Yeah, I know that there is few websites who are doing that and it's very interesting.
Well, I think it's great.
Well, yeah, of course. It's great. And it's also when you want to purchase a reconditioned one, it's, sometimes it's better than just to take a brand new one. It really depends on your budget, but it's a good way to get the thing. And I think that they do have a guarantee as well. So it's not like, it's a good way.
Yeah, Murphy does have a guarantee.
Of course, it's like you don't run but this is like some kind of basic, like your washing machine or your dishwasher, unless it's fully loaded. Then you mentioned the kettle, for example. You are a big tea drinkers. You do exactly according to the usage you have. So clean the filters, for example, for the clothes dryer. It's a very good way to save some energy, for example.
But people don't think of that.
Yeah.
They honestly don't think it makes a difference in saving energy, cleaning the lint filter. I clean my lint filter after every use.
Yeah, and it can be really dirty really quickly. So, and what about products? Because, for example, when you say that you are sustainable or eco-friendly on your website, or for example, if the company or if the flat manager you are working with say that they're sustainable or eco-friendly or doing things in order to have baby step in that direction, what about the product that you use? Because this is one of the first steps that you have to do.
It's one of the first steps, and it's sometimes one of the hardest ones because it's so easy just to go and, buy all of these products. Like, for example, cleaning your drain. It's so easy to just go buy Desktop, a drain deblocker, the best-selling one in France, I'm sure.
Yeah, you are seeing a lot of brand. We are going to have some trouble at some point.
But it's so easy to go and do that. However, all of those harmful chemicals, they do go back into the system, into the water system. So, you can easily make your own cleaning products if you want. And it doesn't sound as crazy as what it may. You can buy products that are naturally made. You can use at home a combination of vinegar, lemon juice, and sodium bicarbonate to make your own products. In fact, just this week, I had a cleaner that contacted me at one of the apartments. It's a long-term rental, but the cleaner goes in every 2 weeks to do cleaning. And the renter accidentally left the coffee pot on, and it's electrical American style coffee maker. So the bottom of the glass carafe had coffee that was completely burnt onto it.
Oh.
So the cleaner was thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to have to buy a new one. And I said, no, 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 no. So then I sent him a message and told him what to do. Basically, it's really simple. You just take some sodium bicarbonate and you sprinkle it in, put some hot water, not too much, just enough to make a space. And you just gently scrub it, and it comes off within a matter of minutes because the sodium bicarbonate is abrasive, but it won't ruin the glass. And then he sent me a picture of this looked like brand new coffee carafe.
Yeah, there's many things that we can do. What about plants? I know that you have a lot of them in your home.
Oh, I've got tons of plants. It's a jungle. And my name is Jane. So indoor plants actually are a really good way to help the quality of your air inside. It helps purify the air. There's a slew of plants that can help with that, and people can find them easily online. But just some common ones that are helpful are things like spider plants, chrysanthemums, also known as mums, bamboo plants, ivy, rubber plants, and more. So those are really helpful to improve the indoor air quality. And you have to, though, be careful, because if you have young children or pets at home, children touch everything and then put their fingers in their mouth. Kids eat dirt, as I always say. You have to be careful that there's no toxicity in the plants. So if the plants are toxic to, if you touch it and put it in your mouth, or if animals lick it or what have you, then you have to make sure that they're out of the way. One time when I was rearranging my plants, I had one that I actually knew was toxic to cats that I thought would look nicer in a different spot. And I was thinking, why have I never put it in that spot before? So I put it lower down, and the next thing I know, my cat's vomiting. Why? Because she licked a leaf. But anyway, so yeah, you just have to be really careful. And also related to, like, somewhat to plants, anytime if I say boil myself eggs, if I'm making boiled eggs, I actually keep the water from that. And once it cools, I actually use it to water my plants. Or if I'm washing vegetables, rather than just run the cold water or what have you over your vegetables, use a pot to wash your vegetables in, and then keep that water and use it for watering your plants. Or if you have a balcony, you can even put out a bucket to collect rainwater.
Yeah, good idea. If you have the chance to have a balcony. On the hot topic of water, it's the same when you have a slow leak or drip, and you know what we are talking about. Like when we manage apartments, we have like leaking issue is like one of the most common things that we can have. And it can take, first, it's a waste of water, which can be amazing because it can, if you don't take care of that, sometimes it can take months or years before you see actually the damages on the walls or on the floor and everything. You have to be very careful on that, and you have to make sure that you change the joints, that you verify. If you have a plumber, you have to ask him to verify everything once in a while when he comes, then to check the joint and to check, every little things around the water system that you have at home. And the same for the tenant. So if you are not doing letting an agent to manage your flat or your property, you have to really warn the tenant about what he has to do, because for the joint, for example, this is a part of the thing that is usually done by the tenant, not for vacation rentals, but for long stays. It's the tenant who has to take care of renewing them and making sure that it's working fine. And not only around the sink or the wash basin, it's really even, the tile joints. It's
yeah.
Because sometimes in the showers or even on the floor in the bathroom, we don't pay attention, but those little portion of joint or cement are just going away. So if so, then the water can go in and do the nasty work.
Oh, it's very true. And I think that the problem with the tile joints, that's something that you can't possibly see. You can tell when the silicone is gone, but you cannot tell if there's a problem with the grouting in between the tiles of, say, your bath or shower.
Yeah, of course.
And also, speaking of showering, it's always better. Well, I do like to take a bath, but switching to showers from baths is very helpful for consuming less water. And there's also plenty of shower heads now that you can buy that are actually energy efficient. So they make a big difference. And along the same lines, there's also all kinds of apps and smart devices that you can have installed on your telephone to your mobile phone to assist you with energy efficiency. I have an owner, for example, with heating underneath the floorboards, and it's actually controlled from her phone. She gets messages saying what temperature the apartment is at, and so she can adjust it herself from the phone.
Yeah, talking about smart device, there is more and more app and system that allows you to get that. I heard about a little meters that you can have, for example, for the water between your, for example, the entrance of your property and the pipe which belong to your water system. And the thing is that you give them the moments where you are supposed to be home, like in the morning and at night, and eventually during the day, when you work remotely or things like that. And in fact, you give them all the little details on what you do. So then when there is a consumption of water outside of the usual hours, then it can stop the system. So it avoid any leaking issue, and it helps you to make sure that there is no problem with the system.
Well, there are so many things, and I know that we could go on and talk about this probably for hours. But I think that the thing is we made a lot of points that can maybe help people who don't know where to start, give them an idea, a starting point, and just try to do a little bit at a time. Take those baby steps, eat that elephant one bite at a time to be a little more sustainable and energy efficient, if not for you, for our future generations.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it for today.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks so much for your feedback, Marie, and let's hope that our listeners have gotten some good ideas.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day. Thanks for listening to Paris, A State of Mind, featuring Gail of Perfectly Paris and Marie of Loquim, both who are founding members of the SPLM. Paris, A State of Mind is produced by Paris Underground Radio. The music, Jazz in Paris, is by Media Right Productions. For more information on this show and others, go to parisundergroundradio.com.
This episode of Paris, A State of Mind was produced by Jennifer Garrity for Paris Underground Radio. For more great content, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/Paris Underground Radio.